specific to the sleep and the uses, how we best use FlexBeam for that. Case studies, I'm going to share with case studies, and then we talk about depression and anxiety. So first of all, let's establish the what is actually sleep disorder, right? Because it's basically a trouble falling asleep or staying asleep. So this could be primary insomnia or could be secondary, yes? In both situations, it affects your health, your relationship, work productivity, that's for sure. So the primary insomnia, it's basically when it's your main condition. There is no other causes for this. I think somebody has still on. Please switch it off. Yeah. Secondary insomnia stems from other conditions. And here we're going to talk about the particular overuse of stimulants. And you know what stimulants are. They are stimulants like coffee, alcohol, drugs, recreational drugs, narcotics. Insomnia could be also expression of depression, or some medication can cause insomnia too. So very briefly, I tell you from my background of TCM and acupuncture that whenever we talk about insomnia, we know it relates to heart meridian disturbance. And most of the time, the heart meridian, yeah. Can somebody switch off the microphone? Those guys who just joined us. Thank you. So with heart meridian disturbance, what is happening? Blood is not circulating properly, and very often, as a result of overwork, excessive overwork, people cannot switch off. But in order to fix it, we normally use heart meridian points for that. Another condition which can lead to insomnia is obesity, surprise, yes? But most of the time, I would say it's attributed to disturbance of the circadian rhythm. This is typically chronic insomnia and expression of the environmental damages. So, as you know, somebody still has microphone on. Can you? It's at the left bottom corner. If you just click on the icon, and when it's crossed, that means it's off. Okay. So you could see. I mean, this is diagram really cute. We used to be hunters. We used to live wild, only sleep in the caves, right? Now what's happening? We all moved into the housing, and all our life it's either you at home in a cave, or you're at work in a cave, yes, or you're in a car in another cave, metal cave. So basically, we as a human species, we become so far departed from natural sunlight, and yet it plays an amazing role. It's a major role for health and wellness, because in our body we have so many cells which act like receptors for light. Yes, so these receptors for light activated by natural sunlight, and we also have the mechanism in place. It's called circadian rhythm, which is a rhythm between day and night, when we sleep, when we active. Yes, and this circadian rhythm go off sync. And I think somebody came to the webinars before. We were talking about the fact that when the circadian rhythm is out of sync, then your hormone release is become out of sync, and then the major impact on the body happens. But of course, I talked since invention of the light bulb, that basically what's happened. We hide in artificial lighting indoors, and we're missing particularly on near infrared light. So the science is now starting to catching up, and this science is talking to the scientists actually started to use light for treating condition and healing. let's talk a little bit more about circadian rhythm, because it's, as I mentioned before, it's super, super important. So circadian rhythm is linked to the day activity and night activity. Yes, in the daytime we're active and melatonin is typically goes down. At night, melatonin goes up and high. It's also in coherence with your autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system is consists of the sympathetic and parasympathetic system. So you can see sympathetic system is related to activity, adrenaline driven, you know, excitement, all of it, daytime activities, all linked to sympathetic system. And at night or whilst you're eating, it's a relaxation, a parasympathetic system. So these two hormones also has impact on the day and nights, and particularly cortisol serves this link to this both autonomic nervous system too. So circadian rhythm, it's a 24-hour sleep-wake cycle, and it's actually started in the your brain. They have the gland, pineal gland, which stimulate release of melatonin. And when melatonin is released, it basically tells the body it's time to sleep. Yes, and it reduces by the time it's the morning, so you wake up. In a very similar way, cortisol almost mimic in a very similar way melatonin. So latest research suggests that melatonin is a potential mediator of actually red light therapy. Red light therapy. I've seen a lot more papers coming now to lights which talking about specifically importance of melatonin. Melatonin as a regulator for the circadian rhythm, but also melatonin which helps to reduce oxidative stress. So what is the opposite situation to red light therapy? It's a blue light, yes? And we know that blue lights, particularly blue light coming from the screens like laptop, phone screens, actually stimulates the brain, and brain stays awake. And this is now proven by science, reducing melatonin level. And that's why people are unable to sleep. So clearly, clearly this is a problem. So let's look a little bit closer about the melatonin. So melatonin is a hormone. This is chemical formula of this. Okay, can you please switch off the microphone off? Thank you. So it's a powerful antioxidant which protects mitochondria. Yes, during it's also known to produce induces sleep. During the daytime, melatonin secretion by pineal gland appears to be reflect the function of biological clock. Okay, it's a potent antioxidant directly involved in theory of aging. So basically, if you have sufficient amount of melatonin, you actually slow down aging process. And the science talking about, there are a few papers you could see in the end of the presentation, which talk about, for example, melatonin being able to delay age-related increase of lipids peroxidation, yes, which is negative, and oxidative damage. So if you reduce this, the cell stays healthy and act young. So obviously, the more stress you accumulate, the oxidative particular stress, the more faster your cells are aging. So melatonin could be used as a hormone for usefulness. Melatonin protects hepatic mitochondrial respiratory chain activity and acts directly upon the immune system. This is another study I'm quoting. So again, it's directly linked to mitochondrial health as well, and different cells in the body, including the immune cells. Apart from sleeps, what it does, it engages with DNA repair in our cells. So exposure to all these environmental hazards, which we talk from plastic, from pesticides, from herbicides, everything, disinfectors, EMF, all the buildup, it's all contributing to increase of oxidative stress in the cell. So it absolutely makes sense to protect the cells, yes, from this. And when melatonin is released, that's a job of melatonin. It reduces that damage. Damage to DNA repairs DNAs. And you know, any damage to DNA can lead to cancers, new diseases, new conditions associated with the DNA damage, yes? So, so it's critical for health protection. And also, melatonin drives mitochondrial conversion of pyruvates to acetyl coenzyme A, yes, via mitochondrial melatonergic pathways. So basically, it involves on its own in actually helping to produce energy in a cell. So how we can fix this problem? The problem is, of course, reunite with nature. I like this term, reunite with nature. Why? Because we allow our bodies to be again in sync with nature. And through this, we can use devices. Like, for example, if you live in a city and you can't access, you can't even see sunrise or sunset, right? You can use red light therapy. You stimulate and you get at least this percentage of near-infrared lights into your body. And you don't even need to look at it. Like when you look in the sunshine and sunrise and sunset, it's believed to be that light only comes into your brain to stimulate pineal gland through the pupils. Well, the latest research showing that it can be on the body, not coming through the lights. You're still going to have the same benefits. And look at this couple of papers I'm quoting for you. So it says daily LED treatment increases enzyme activities of all three enzymes associated with energy. Yes, SOD, GPX, GRX in the liver, and demonstrated positive effect of from red light illumination and higher melatonin level. These results were in accordance with previously reported studies showing that melatonin might be a principal component of red light therapy. You see how important to understand this if you think this is the main effect from red light therapy. So let's talk about a little bit FlexBeam in this role for circadian rhythm. So first of all, somebody still have microphone on. Can you check, please? Left bottom corner has to be crossed, okay? Symbol of mic. So FlexBeam, yes. First of all, it's designed with consideration of nature. So the programs in the FlexBeam go in program 1, 2, and 3. They're all designed to go with the sync of the day. So the sync of the day is that, for example, power. The sun rises slowly, yes, and then it blasting through the daytime, yes, become bright white lights, which stimulate vitamin D production. And then in the evening, it's becoming sunset, again, slows down, right? So every program goes through their modulation and frequency in power to assist for your body to be with the nature like, that wave-like nature. And as I said, you can place it on the body, and so you don't need to look at it to stimulate to get melatonin. And a number of studies already talk that red light stimulation contribute to increased melatonin by pineal gland and muscle regeneration. So, of course, FlexBeam could be used at home, and effective tool becomes effective because it has a cumulative impact on the body. Yes, so you need to use for a number of weeks to get this effect. It doesn't happen from one exposure. My suggested protocol for you is this. So you work over the area of the upper. It's a basically junction between neck and the thoracic part of the body. Why? Because it's lots of pathways for the autonomic nervous system. The second big area is the stomach. And I like to be right in the midline, FlexBeam to be placed, particularly because it coincides with the very important meridians in the body, vertical and horizontal. I call it the cross. You could see it here, yes? But okay, if you missed, or if you have some other complaints with the stomach, you can put anywhere in the stomach, because stomach is primarily innervated also with parasympathetic system. So you need to induce this relaxation, yes? Very, very good position here over the heart. I told you from the beginning, in TCM, the heart meridians is most important in managing insomnia. Next position is it's a lumbar or sacrum position. Yes, this is again related to the particular pelvic area, where primarily again innervation happens in the parasympathetic zone. So if you can't do the complex protocol, just at least use this. Yes, back of the neck, front and back of the pelvis, and remember the pelvis is where your all parasympathetic activity is happening. That's why people, after they make love, they feel tired, because that area becomes stimulated, these nerves become stimulated. So it's a very similar mechanism. So I'm giving you the protocols, but you can use program 3 if your body takes it all right. Yes. You can use basically any of the programs, I would say. At the beginning, I was a little bit worried about using 3, but now it's been proven to be effective for insomnia. So let me share with you with the case study. This case study I have done last year in a 34 years old male who had chronic insomnia, and it was not SAD, it was a proper insomnia, because it was, despite of any time of the year, he just couldn't sleep. So he couldn't sleep at night, but couldn't wake up in the morning, right? So kind of, to me, this is a shifted circadian rhythm. And so what was remarkable for me to see in this particular study, that this study is actually about circadian rhythm more than about insomnia. So together with poor sleep, he also complained on the exhaustion, drowsiness, foggy mind, of course, if you don't sleep on a regular basis, headache, heart palpitations, yes, bloating and itchy skin. This is, surprise, surprise, it's all linked. And it's all linked, you will see it in a minute, yes? So in order to establish the cause, we took the melatonin sample, yes? So it was DNA, melatonin, saliva DNA melatonin sample. We saw what's like his melatonin before he started the study completely. I'll show you in a minute what happened after, yes? So what he did 30 minutes every day, 3 placements of 10 minutes, 3 placements of 10 minutes at each position, combined 30 minutes. At first, he was doing his treatment at night before he was going to bed. And halfway through, he said, well, I'm becoming too energized. I don't feel right. So I said to him, please use it in the morning. So on waking up, he was using it 30 minutes. So he was doing Monday to Friday, every single day, weekend off. Monday to Friday, weekend off. 3rd week, Monday to Friday, weekend off. 4th week, he was doing every other day, because by 4th week, he felt already so much improvement, and I let him to do every other day. And then we did completely the whole week off. So no interference, nothing. And took his second saliva melatonin test at the 5 weeks point, okay? So that was 4 weeks of intensive treatment and 1 week off. So the results, let's look at the results. So that was before, right? The green zone it's a good zone, yes? So how you see what's happening? At night, it's really, if you draw this line further, it's almost to the borderline. But in the morning, it was impossible, right? His readings in the morning for melatonin was exceeding everything. That's why he couldn't wake up in the morning, yes? And look how beautifully it's self-regulated. So it's gone into, from here into green zone by week 5 and improved significantly at night. So that was, for me, a manifestation of repairing circadian rhythm, because it was not bluntly to increase melatonin, but it was to regulate between day and night. And what was remarkable at this particular case, that, you know, he said that I think 9 months later, he was still maintaining that sleep pattern without slipping back into not because he wasn't using it. So once he repaired circadian rhythm, he made, of course, efforts to stay on this regime, not screwing up again, you know, staying all night. As long as he was doing it, he was having good sleep. So that's in his words what he said. FlexBeam, after FlexBeam, my sleep has returned to normal, which is a miracle. Of course, it's over 8 years he suffered every single day. For him, it was a miracle. Some days I get up even before my partner. Obviously, I set an intention to change my sleeping pattern, follow certain discipline, like sleeping on time, healthy lifestyle, and so on. But I think FlexBeam made it easy for me to fall asleep, which was my lifelong problem. Now I actually enjoy going to bed. I still wake up at random times during the nights, but probably because I'm all crazy dreams I've been having lately. So also he talks about fatigue. So fatigues on the week 3 disappeared. He did not feel drowsy, foggy, exhausted. And the sleep time averaged as well from 7.8 hours a night. So it's become 8.4 hours average sleep a week. Okay, and but he was still waking up, although waking up also was less. So remote results, 2 months passed, no complaints, yes. And I met him also at 8 or 9, I don't remember again, and he said he was still sleeping. But I would recommend people who are serious insomniac to actually repeat the course of treatments. So it's becoming more and more routine for people. Now, let's talk about depression and anxiety and how we can support with FlexBeam. So depression, of course, it's a mood disorder. It's just basically people lose interest, sadness, and also could be a clinical depression, which can affect result of the emotional and behavioral problems, yes. And it maybe affect all your life, including activities or suicidal thoughts. But the thing is, with depression, it's not something you can just snap out of. Yeah, if you can self-manage, that's great. But if you cannot, you need help. That's where you probably need to come back to using additional tools to help yourself. Let's look at the causes of depression. Let's look first on the left column. So typically, big stress brings it up. Severe trauma, you know, stressful events in life, childhood trauma, physical, sexual abuse, losing someone you love, and or difficult relationship, something really dramatic. To me, like number one, I would say the reason it's a stress, worries about everything. When it's prolonged time, it exhausts you. So then you start losing, you know, focus, purpose of life, and the appreciation of life you start losing. Chemical deficiency, yes, could be cause of depression, but typically, we're going to talk about neurotransmitters here, hormonal imbalance, like women have postnatal depression, for example, or during the period time, you know, every of you probably experienced that the women go crazy, etc. So this is hormonal imbalance, yes. Thyroid deficiency would affect also B12, vitamin D3 deficiency also can lead to depression. Drugs, alcohol abuse, lack of exercise. Many people realize this, yes, sleep deprivation. That's for sure. People who can't sleep, they become very quickly depressed. SAD, I personally have SAD, seasonal affective disorder. I cannot live without lights, and I do get depressed. And maybe that's why I moved out to Spain, to get a little bit more sunshine. So burnout, people exhausted at work, people exhausted with, you know, responsibilities, anything which consistently, you know, bashes. And the very big one, it's a gut dysfunction. So your microbiome is out of sync. But now what I want you to do, I found this amazing diagram on the internet, and really what it tells you, all this what we listed here, yes, what they do, they contribute to inflammation, some kind of ongoing inflammation in the brain. And this inflammation in the brain affects the way how the, for example, firing in the brain is going on. So excessive breakdown of synaptic connection that overwhelm our brain neuroplastic ability. So the neurons cannot be replicated. Something is going on, all that constantly interactive with this, yes. But also, on the other hand, again, if you have inflammation, some form of inflammation, it will disrupt neurotransmitters, very important one, like serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, yes, all this contributes to depression. But also, what contributes to depression, actually physical changes in the brain structures. There are typically three parts of the brain engaged into depression. It's amygdala, you know, the part of the brain which gives you this unpleasantness of emotional unpleasantness. And it's interesting that people who are depressed, the amygdala grows bigger, yes? But hippocampus, where typically attributes to memory, but also emotional memory, this actually shrinks. So, and that's create this scenario, well, like when your amygdala, it's like making the brain go, but hippocampus is typically, it's your brake. So it says, hold on a second. Is it real? Is it real, that problem? Yes, slows down, help to reevaluate yourself. But if both parts of the system go out of sync, then it's a problem because you don't get real estimation of what's going on. Prefrontal cortex, yes, engaged with this, and basal ganglia as well engaged into the depression. So all this you could see, altered amygdala function, overactivity in the default mode network, that's very important, yes. Overactive HPA axis, HPA hypothalamus pituitary axis, that's where your autonomic nervous system, you know, activity, relaxation. That's where things gonna go wrong because you become active where you should be relaxed, or vice versa, you know. So sympathetic overdrive, too much of the adrenaline you release all the time can drive this to depression. Overactivity in the lateral habenula, yes. So all this leads to depression. And what do you think? Like, I mean, you go to psychiatrist, I guess, psychologist, and then they give you, psychiatrists give you serotonin reuptakes, yeah. Do you think when it's such a complex involvement of the whole parts, yeah, of the body, and you get antidepressants, and do you think you fix the problem? No, of course not. You need to fix that inflammation in the brain where caused by all the, you know, ecological, not ecological, yeah, sort of external factors from outside the environment, from you eating bad foods, for you overstimulating the brain. Yeah, you need to fix this. You need to also improve communication in the brain, and you need to help the brain itself. So by choosing just one thing is never gonna work. And you need to assess everything. So, oh, sorry. So you can see what current management. So yes, medication, they give you selective serotonin reuptakes, yeah, inhibitors. But they have tremendous side effects, yes, and they are not going to fix the problem, yes. Also, noradrenaline, dopamine reuptake inhibitors, yes. Also, monoamine oxidative inhibitors, etc., etc. So they all give you just temporary solution of one aspect of it. Psychotherapy, and I don't deny that it's necessary, yes, you know, cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy, all sorts of things. They even list the light therapy, which is great, yes. Electroconvulsive therapy, meditation, acupuncture. Yes, that's what you need. You need complex approach, yes. You cannot just take antidepressants and say, that's it, I fix my problem. Because if you take it for a long time, you can end up a really big damage to your health. Of course, you need to look at the exercise, meditation. I like meditation a lot for this, yes. Light therapy, red light particular therapy, yes. I also watch a very beautiful documentary about cold water diving for depression. It's really great. You need to regulate your drugs and alcohol avoidance and taking care of yourself. Give yourself time to recover. Give yourself space. If you run like a crazy and, you know, 3 kids, family, everything on your money, it's like it's dead end. You need to stop and say, how can I, you know, work more intelligent, not more, but more intelligent way. Reorganize your life and schedule. Yes, supplements, SAMI supplements, yes, 5-HTP supplements, Omega's very good, vitamins, herbal supplements. This is all at our hands. And of course, now we have also FlexBeam. So talking about gut-brain connection, I mean, you all probably very, very much aware that it's becoming a topic everybody speak about, that our gut is super, super important in creating neurotransmitters, in regulating neurotransmitters, yes. And it's also helping reduce inflammation if you have good bacteria. Yes, and this is also reflecting gut-brain connection. So connection through the vagus nerve, through the parasympathetic system. So immune system also serves microbiome as well. And so there are a couple of papers for you. So that's why you've seen in my applications for FlexBeam, number 1, treat the gut. Last thing I want to tell you, the gut microbiome is light sensitive, period, light sensitive. So when you stimulate with light, you bring more of the good bacteria up to life. You create new diversity in population. This is a study to prove it. You can see on the diagram, this is the stimulation of neurotransmitters and hormone in the gut, including serotonin, leptin, and ghrelin. So how do you modulate microbiome? They use photobiomodulation form of therapy. And you could see if it was at the beginning nothing, with photobiomodulation group, it's shoot through the roof. Yes, read this paper. This is for your information. So how do we support with FlexBeam? We support with FlexBeam by, again, using the stomach area, abdomen. Remember the cross over the gut. Very good. This is position, it's for adrenals, yes? So adrenals are located at the 12th rib, approximately paraspinal side of the spine. But if you put FlexBeam just above the waistline, you could be targeting these 2 areas. Also, liver. It's super, super important to treat the liver. So because liver, it's basically produce all your sterones, your cortisol as well, yes, your testosterones and everything. So it's good for your hormones, but it also in a very useful piece of the puzzle. So this is how you place it over the liver. You can use it on descending bowel if people also have associated with the depression and anxiety, abnormal bowel function, like suddenly they need to rush to the toilet, they have urge to go. Yes, this is typically a result of disproportionate serotonin release. So serotonin release inadequately. So you position over here, you help to regulate that bowel. Sacrum area also, it's stimulate the pelvis through. Remember, when you stimulate with FlexBeam, the light will go 10 centimeters and stimulate a target at 10 centimeters in the body. So when you do front and back of the back area of the body, you basically sandwich it. So you get lights directly pointing to this area through back and front. So, and as I said, he can also use it on the spleen, because spleen is the organ which not many mainstream scientists talk about. It also regulates serotonin release. It doesn't make serotonin. Serotonin primarily produced in the gut, only 5% in the brain. Primarily it's in the gut, 95%. But the spleen regulates the release of it. So if spleen is out, then you have these urges, you know, people go to the loo like crazy. Or for a while, they won't. When serotonin is not released, then, you know, nothing is going to happen. Okay, so which program we use? As I said before, 2 and 3 I would recommend for these particular situations, because we need to deliver light quite deep in the body. So when you target the stomach, then you can improve the function of the brain, release of neurotransmitters, release of improved microbiome state, vagus regulation. Yes, here you can also do the back of the neck position, the back of the neck as well. Remember, we talk about for the sleep position. So, but if you use this protocol, what you need to remember, don't do all positions at once. You need to do 3 positions in ideal scenario, but daily. Yes, I would recommend you to do it very early in the morning if you have time, if not during the evening. So this is particularly slide to show you gut-brain access. So as I said, to stomach, back of the neck, this is all very, very good to improve blood circulation into the brain and out, and also stimulate the vagus nerve as well. Yes. So right now I finish with my presentation. I stop the recording.